So good evening, and thank you for joining today's session, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present today. And I'm excited to share with you on uncovering the paths to data analysis and the hidden power to Excel, right? Whether you're new to data analysis or you're looking to enhance your skills and to pivot into data analysis, I believe that this session will guide you through the essential steps on how Excel can be a powerful tool in your data analysis journey. And so in the next 45 minutes to an hour, we'll uncover some key tips and strategies on how you can ace your next data analysis interview and also pivot into the data field. All right. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Jacob Ajala. I'm Nigerian. I graduated from the university in India called Sharda University. I studied computer science and engineering. I am a data analysis trainer and also a data scientist. I lecture at Covenant University. I grew up in a country called Botswana. It's in the southern part of Africa. It's landlocked, borders with South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and those countries there. And some of my keen interests is in fintech, edcare, and healthcare analytics. So before we dive into our discussion for today, I'd just like to get to know some of you. So if you could just type in the comment section your name, your current role, and what brings you here today, what you hope to get out of this session. Just type in the comment section very quickly. Someone said, speak up. Can you not hear me?
I think I can hear you. Can anyone else not hear Jacob?
Someone said in the comment section to speak up. All right.
Yeah, I think that was when you initially started, but I think your audio is okay.
Okay. So just type in the comment section your name, what brings you here, what your current role, and what you hope to get out of this session. I'm waiting to see in the comment section. I haven't seen any in the comments. Just your name, your current role. If you don't have any, that's fine. And what you hope to get out of this session. All right, Kemi, support worker, trying to transition into tech. Awesome, okay. I'm waiting to get a few more. I'll just get maybe two more and then we'll proceed. I just want to get to know you. I'm here to refresh my analytics skills. All right. My name is Mary, salesperson. Okay. All right. Thank you. Looks like a lot of us are transitioning into tech. Gideon from Nigeria, entry-level data analytics. Yusuf, territory manager, transitioning into tech. Amina, support worker, transitioning into tech. Aisha, compliance, trying to get into tech. So it looks like a lot of us are just recently transitioning into tech. And that's great, right? So that's what we're here for. So some of the things that my goal here today is to help you understand the skills and qualifications that are required for you to get into the data role, and then learn how to prepare for some of the common interview questions that you would come up, and also the case studies that you may be given to get into the data world, and then develop some strategies to showcase your technical skills and soft skills during those interview sessions that you get, and then help you to feel more confident and prepared for your data analytics interview. All right, so those are the things that we're going to get into today. And hopefully by the end of this session, you guys would feel more confident about going into the data role and realize that data is actually a broad field enough for everyone. All right, so very quickly, so before I talk about data itself, what do you think is the most common skill for a data analyst to have? All right, what do you think is the most common skill for a data analyst to have? the most common skill for a data analyst that you think a data analyst should have? You're trying to transition into tax, so I believe you've done a bit of research, some research as well. Or you might have heard about data or data world. So what are the common skills you think a data analyst should have? Just type that in the comment section. I'll be waiting to see that. All right, good knowledge of Excel. All right, great. Attention to detail. I like that. Critical thinking. Awesome, awesome. Analytical skills, problem solving, critical thinking, communication. I like that. I like that. So you guys have done some research, and that's great. Okay, awesome. All right, so data analysis is actually at the heart of informed decision making. And whether it's identifying trends, improving performance, or driving innovation, data plays a very critical role in shaping strategies and action. And we're going to explore how data analysis impacts several sectors and why understanding this field is very vital. And the data analyst role is critical to any organization. So some of the responsibilities includes collecting and analyzing data to inform business decisions, identifying trends and patterns in data, communicating insights to stakeholders. And then when it comes to industry trends, as a data analyst, you need to understand that there's an increasing demand for data-driven decisions. A lot of the decisions that are happening in today's world is backed up by data. And it also affects you as well. A lot of you, I'm sure some of you used, you watch Netflix, you have Spotify, and you have, you go to shopping websites. And these companies actually use data analysis in a way that actually affects you. When you go on Netflix and you're watching a movie, let's say you watched a movie that's related to romance, right? The next time you come on Netflix, Netflix is going to recommend something related to romance. Why? Because they've used your previous trend. They've seen that you've watched romance the last time, you watched comedy the last time as well. So they would recommend a movie that's related to that to you. So they're using the data, using those trends to recommend something for you, right? So, and it's a growing field, and those decisions actually improves sales in the industry. And as a data analyst, you need to understand the industry you're going into. So if you're going into, say, fintech, you need to understand the fintech world. If you're going into healthcare analytics, understand what are the current trends in healthcare analytics. What are some of the tools that they're currently using? What are some of the ideas that are currently driving healthcare analytics? So depending on the field that you're going into, you need to do some research into that field as a data analyst, right? And there are some key skills that are required for you to do that. And you guys have listed some of them. So we're going to go into a little bit of that now. So the steps to becoming a data analyst. Now, you know that I want to become a data analyst. The question now is, how do I go from wanting to becoming a data analyst, right? So let's review some of these essential skills that you guys have listed, some of those qualifications that is needed as a data analyst role. So now that you've listed some of them, now I want you to think personally, can you identify any gaps in the skills that you currently have, regardless of the industry that you're in? So if you're a social worker, you are a salesperson, the skills that you currently have, what do you think, can you identify some gaps in those skills or those experiences that you have that you think you would need to improve on to becoming a data analyst? So you guys have listed some of the skills that are required. Now, what gap do you think? Okay, I see SQL, right? I see critical thinking, communication, analytical problem solving, okay? I think those are some of the skills that were listed earlier on, but I want just to tell me some of the gaps that you think you need to work on now to become a data analyst. Teamwork, okay? That's great, teamwork, okay? I'm waiting for others. What gap do you think you need to fill to become a great data analyst? It could be technical skills or soft skills. I say presentation skills. All right, that's great. Teamwork, presentation. Okay. Coding. All right. All right. That's great. I don't know who iPhone is, but that's the only person that's been, okay. I see communication from Mary. I see statistics and knowledge of domain from Gideon. All right. effective communication from Olabisi. Okay, that's great. That's awesome. All right. So these are very essential skills, and it's great that you guys already know your weaknesses and you know what to work on, right? Now, becoming a data analyst, it involves more than just the technical skills. It starts with understanding basic statistics and programming, but equally important is understanding and mastering tools like Excel, right? Tools like SQL, Python, Tableau, Power BI, those visualization tools, those technical skills, they're very important, right? And real world experience is also very crucial. I see a lot of people that I interview during the interview process, and I'm asking them questions. Okay, can you tell me about this concept? And they're giving me textbook answers. It doesn't show that they understand what they're doing. They have the technical skills, quite all right. They know, for example, if I'm asking them what is VLOOKUP, they'll give me textbook answer about what VLOOKUP is. But what I'm actually looking for is the application of those skills that you're mentioning. And it's very important that you understand that, having that real-world experience. So don't shy away from projects that would challenge you, that would make you apply these skills, these technical skills that you're talking about. Don't just read books and, understand the concepts. Have practical knowledge, right? Real life knowledge. Go on websites, download data, work on that. And don't shy off. And then finally, you need to work on the soft skills that you guys mentioned: communication, teamwork, problem solving. You need to have storytelling abilities. As a data analyst, storytelling is very essential because storytelling with data is what helps you to make your analysis impactful. Your stakeholders, they're not looking for someone who is going to give them extra work. They're looking for you to make their life easier, right? And as a data analyst, you come through series of data, lots of data, rows and rows and hundreds of thousands of data. And your stakeholders, they don't have time to go through that data. So they're paying you to make their life easy, to summarize that data in such a way that within 3 minutes or even 30 seconds, they can understand what's going on. They're waiting for you to give them those recommendations. So now, as a data analyst, you need to be good at storytelling and telling them from what they know to the abstract. So you're taking them from something they're familiar with, taking them to where you believe that the data is leading them to. So for example, if we have a store, a supermarket, and we have a stakeholder who has given us their database, right? And they've made sales from January to December of last year. And then they're looking to say, okay, what can we do differently this year? So they have hundreds of rows of customers, hundreds of series of transactions that have happened. Now, your job as a data analyst is to summarize that data and tell them about the trends, the problems that they have, and the recommendations, things they can do differently from what they did last year. So you need to communicate that in a way that is engaging and makes them want to learn, right? Now, while all of this is true, becoming a data analyst, for you to become a data analyst, you need to go through interview process, right? So, and when you're going through interview process, let's assume that you sent in your application, right? And now you've been invited for an interview. After you've been invited for an interview, what do you need to do? So now we need to think, okay, before the interview, what do I need to do? So the first thing you need to do is research the company website. Look at what the company stands for. What's the mission statement? What's their vision? What are their values? What products do they have? Do their visions and their missions, do they align with your own visions and your mission? Does it align with the direction in which you are taking your career to? It's not okay to just say, okay, I'm applying to this company. You need to know what you're getting into, right? What products do they have? And so that when you go into that interview, you're able to say, okay, I've seen this product. I believe that you can do this differently with this product. So you're not just there blind or without anything to talk about. So during the interview, you're giving them specific answers relatable to their own company. And by the time they see that, okay, this person actually has taken the time to review us, go through our website, find out about what we offer, and is actually providing solutions to the challenges that we have, trust me, your interview maybe others are taking 15, 20 minutes. They would want to engage you more to say, okay, it seems as though this person has something more to say. And you now begin to drive the conversation of that interview, right? Instead of them asking you questions, you're now actually the one driving that conversation. And then The interview, it's no longer a question and answer, it now becomes a conversation between you and the interviewer. And then you also need to check the job description. What are the key responsibilities? What are some of the skills that are required? Today we've looked at the skills required, and then we've looked at the gap that we have in those skills. The same way, when applicants are applying for jobs, right? It's very likely that you're not going to meet all the skills that are required. So you would have identified the gap in those skills. And between the time that you're applying and the time you go for that interview, it's expected that even if you're not 100% qualified, you would have taken the time to improve yourself on those skills that you're lacking in, right? So when you've gone through those skills, let's say you are 60% qualified and you sent in your application, great application, right? So now ask yourself, what do I need to get these other skills? Then start working on it. And then finally, research the industry trends, right? So let's say you're going into ed tech. What are some of the trends in edutech, right? So you need to be able to find out what's the direction in which edutech organizations are going into. How can that trend impact the organization that I've applied to? And how can those trends help them become better and become competitive? Because ultimately, any company you're going to, they're looking to become competitive, and they're looking for ways in which you can bring value to them. No one is going to offer you anything if you don't bring value. So you need to offer value to anyone that's coming in. And the only way to have value is for you to build yourself up and then bring those values that you've accumulated to yourself and give to them. That way you're now offering the value to them. And I think it's the same for our relationships as well. You don't have friends who do not add to you. As humans, we're very selfish in that way. If you're not adding value to me, I'm going to cut you off, right? If you're always a parasite, always only taking and taking and taking, the relationship might start quite all right, but it's not going to last. The same way in a company, if you're going to last, you need to constantly add value and improve yourself in those companies. So now that you've done the research before the interview, right? So now the question is, how do I now prepare for the interview itself? What do I need to do? Some things that you need to take care of. So the first thing is review some common interview questions. You're going to get those questions on websites like Glassdoor. You're going to get it on LinkedIn. Use online research, the resources. There's so many great resources online. Google sample interview questions that they ask, sample answers that they give. One thing that I've noticed during interviews is when I'm asking questions, candidates usually, when they give me answers, they're giving me, first they'll beat around the bush and tell me stories before actually getting to the answer that I want to, right? So when you're asking those questions, first give the concise answer, then you can now explain the answer that you want to give. So there's a process that I usually follow. First, be specific in your answer. After you've become specific, for example, if I ask you that, I have 2 tables of data, right? Let's say I'm working in an Excel file and I have 3-4 worksheets, and those worksheets are related and I want to consolidate them into a single worksheet. How do I do that? The concise answer is to say, you can use VLOOKUP or you can use index match. That's the concise answer. I would get given the answer. That's textbook answer. But now the next step that I would now follow is give examples, practical examples, right? So I've said use VLOOKUP. Now give examples on how you would use VLOOKUP. And when you're given that example, you're using practical examples. Talk about something that you've done before. I could say, oh, I would use VLOOKUP. That reminds me of a time when I was working on XYZ project where I had this kind of problem and I used VLOOKUP to solve this A, B, C, D. That way that I'm showing them that I don't just have the textbook knowledge, I have the practical experience to solve those problems. So you're specific, then you use examples, and that example also shows your thought process. It shows that it helps the interviewer understand your thinking process, your thought process through as you're solving those problems, and that you're not just giving textbook answers or answers that you've read somewhere, right? It shows that you are actually quite confident in what you're talking about, right? So now when it comes to technical interviews, tips on showcasing your technical skills. I talked about being specific, use examples, and showing your thought process, right? So now I want to go into some behavioral questions, right? let me just ask, what do you think companies ask for when they're asking about behavioral questions? Okay, let me rephrase that. Why do you think they're asking behavioral questions? Why do they ask you behavioral questions? Psychomotor questions. Why do you think they're asking you those kind of questions? I'll be waiting in the comment section. Why do you think they're asking you those questions? I'm sure you guys have gone to interviews and they've asked you behavioral questions. You know, if you're in this situation, how would you handle that? Why do you think they're asking those kind of questions? I'm waiting in the comments. Okay. To know someone's personality, all right. To get to know the true you, if you are into that, if you fit into the team, great. They want to know your interpersonal relationship, awesome. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So these are very great answers. They want to know if you're competent for the role. Okay, could be to see how you fit into the company culture. Right, these are very great answers. Awesome, awesome. All right. So companies usually ask these questions to assess what? Your teamwork ability, right? And when it comes to teamwork, they want to see your collaboration skills. They want to see your communication skills. How are you able to interact with people? Someone said, your interpersonal skills. So they want to be able to see that, just not that you come into the organization and you just isolate yourself in the corner and you don't interact with anyone, or maybe you're someone who, someone steps on your toes and, you just blurt out and, you start firing out at everyone, right? So they want to assess your teamwork skills, right? And then the next thing that they're looking for is your problem-solving skills. They want to know how analytical you are, right? And they want to know your creativity. There are people who, in some companies that I consult for, I tell them sometimes to hire lazy people. And when I tell them this, the eyes just pop and say, why would you ask me to hire someone who is lazy? Here's the reason why. I have a theory. It's not proven yet, but it's just a theory. I have a theory that lazy people actually are more innovative, because if I hire someone who is not lazy, they would just follow they don't think outside the box. But a lazy man, you give them the most difficult task. A lazy man would find the easiest path to solving the problem. They would find a different way, think outside the box to solving the solution, right? So I personally have that theory that find the most difficult work and give it to a lazy man. And you are sure to get your answers in no time, because they won't want to stress themselves. They're going to find innovative, creative ways to solve this problem. So when they're asking you this, they're trying to find how creative you can be in any scenario, right? When challenges come, how can you solve those situations? And then finally, they're looking at your communication. You're presenting your ability, your insights. When you're presenting those insights to stakeholders, how do you communicate? How do you present those values to people? How do you express yourself in those situations, right? So those are some of the reasons why they have behavioral questions. And there's a pattern that I use in answering behavioral questions, and I think some of you might have had of some of this, right? It's called the STAR method. The STAR method. And the STAR method is it's a great way of answering behavioral questions, because one, it helps them understand your process, right? You're telling them everything that happens in that situation. So when they're asking you those behavioral questions, so the STAR method is an acronym. It's an acronym for 4 different things, STAR, and we're going to go into that. So the first one is the S, right? So the S is for situation, right? And the situation, what it does is it sets the context, right? It sets the scene where it briefly describing the situation, the challenge, or the event that you're facing. That's what the S stands for. And then the next one is the T, which is the task, right? Then the task is you're describing the challenge. You're explaining the responsibilities where you were in that situation. What role did you play in that situation? And then you have the A, which is the action. you're explaining the decisions and that you took, the steps that you took to overcome the situation and in solving the task at hand. And then finally, the result. You're now talking about the outcome of the situation and what you learned through that situation and how you achieved it through the actions that you took, right? So that's the STAR method. So I'll give you an example of how I would use the STAR method. So since we're all transitioning into tech, I think someone talked about being a salesperson. So let me take that example of a salesperson. So let's say you are at an interview and then they ask you to tell me about a time when you faced a challenging problem at work. So as a salesperson, my answer could be, let me think. Okay, so as a salesperson, my answer could be, I was working as a retail manager during the busy holidays and during the busy holiday season, and during that period, one of our shipments was delayed. So that I've explained the situation. Now, what is my task in this situation? I am the retail manager. So my task now is to ensure that we meet our targets despite of the delay in the shipment. So that's my task. Now, I've given the situation, I've given the task. Now, how do I mitigate against this problem? Now, the actions that I'm going to take. So I would say that I coordinated with other store locations that were close by and to help us redistribute some stock. And then we also increased our online promotions and we organized local suppliers to help us provide alternative products. That way, our customers are satisfied because I'm providing them with alternative solution because even though the original product was not available, there is an alternative. And then the stores close by are also able to bring in some of the products for us to meet them. So now the result would be that we did not only meet our expectations or our sales target, we exceeded it by XYZ percentage, and our customer satisfaction increased by XYZ percentage. Right? So you see that I've given the situation, I talked about the task, I talked about the steps that I took, and then I talked about the results, right? So I've used the STAR method to answer that behavioral question, okay? So before I move on, let me give opportunity just one person. I'll take just one person who can use the STAR method in the industry in which you're currently working in. So just tell us, think of a time in which you overcame a difficult challenge using the STAR method. How would you answer that question? Just one person. You can just indicate by raising your hand. Anyone wants to speak? I think there's an ability for you to indicate. Angela, is there an ability for someone to indicate? I just want someone to unmute and speak and tell us how they would answer using the STAR method.
Raising of the hand or what? What do you?
Is there anyone who is raising up their hand? I can't see
No
anyone.
one. I don't know if anyone is going to take up the opportunity to speak.
Okay. If you would like to speak, you can just comment in the comment section so we can give you opportunity to speak. Okay, Bukola is raising her hand. Okay, Bukola, could you unmute and just use the STAR method and tell us how you overcame a difficult challenge in your current industry?
Yeah, I just want to try. It's not as if I have any.
That's
okay.
Fine.
Yeah, during my time at Bayshore, we're trying to build an app where we're trying to build like a scheduling app where we can easily pick up shifts. The process we had before was a manual process, and we're trying to automate the process whereby each support worker can just pick up their shift easily. But at this particular time, due to time differences, different developers at that particular period of time, they are working on that project. Due to time differences and the time we're supposed to deliver the project was very short, and also the budget for that project was not really. So what my role there was, I was a business analyst for the particular role, and what I did was to constantly create meetings to meet up with different developers involved, so that at least we could work on, we could like schedule a time where everybody can meet and actually achieve the aim of this project within the stipulated time by the stakeholders, and we're able to like achieve that by after meeting them individually, we're able to come up with a particular time where we all had to have this meeting and agree on a speculated time where we can meet, and the job was actually delivered on time. And we're also able to speak about the budget, and I was also able to speak with the stakeholder regarding the project, regarding the budget during those meetings. And the result is we're able to like achieve our goal. We're able to deliver the project on time, and then the amount allocated for that project was also increased a bit, and we're able to deliver a quality scheduling app. Thank you.
Awesome, very well. Awesome, well done, Bukola, very well done. So that's very great. So you noticed that she was very specific. And so one thing you want to do is you want to be specific. You're using examples, and then those the examples that you're using, it's demonstrating your skills, right? Both your technical skills and your soft skills. And it's also demonstrating your passion for analytics. It's demonstrating your passion for the industry in which you're coming into, or your passion for your job, right? So when you're using those specific examples, it's helping you not just showcase your behavioral skills, it's showcasing a lot more than that. It's telling me about your behavioral skills, your interpersonal skills, your technical skills. It's telling me about your passion as well and your soft skills, right? So now let's go into Excel, right? Awesome. So we've gone through the interview process, right? So now coming into data analysis, why Excel? Why Excel? So why do you think Excel is important as a data analyst? You can just type in the comments why you think Excel is important. Why you think Excel is important. Okay. Why do we use Excel? I'm waiting. Why do you use it? Why do we use Excel? Why do you think Excel is important? Because it's one of the tools required. Okay. All right. Because it's one of the tools required. Okay. Easy to use, easy. Excel helps clean data. Okay, great. Okay, that's great. I think for summarizing data, pivot tables, okay. All right, that allows organize. Very great, awesome. So Excel is a widely used tool. It's a spreadsheet software, and for a good reason. It's very versatile, right? It's user-friendly. It's not only user-friendly, it can handle complex data, complex calculations, and it's used for data analysis, like you guys mentioned, right? And it helps us to organize our data, whether it's numerical data, text data, and all of that, right? So now, why is Excel still relevant? Well, whether you're a student, you're a professional, whether you're a business owner, or even for your own personal use, maybe you want to manage your own personal finances, you want to manage your household utilities, you want to track how you use your electricity bill over a period of time. Excel is it has something to offer everyone, and it can simplify your work and boost your productivity as well, right? So now, Excel, to a lot of people, it might seem basic to some, but one thing that is true is it remains a very powerful and a very versatile tool for data analysis. Right? And it can help you from simple calculations to advanced data manipulation. And Excel has functionalities that is accessible to everyone. Like I said, from a student to a business owner, Excel has something to offer everyone. And it has some hidden gems, like you guys mentioned, Power Query, pivot tables, visualization tools, and it's a must-know tool. even if you don't want to go into data, it's something that you're going to use every day. And it helps you with even more advanced tools and even more advanced analytics. So we're going to look into some of the things that we can use that Excel can help us do, right? So some of the Excel functions that we're going to look at, so we're going to talk about the real power that lies in Excel. And the truth is, the real power of Excel lies in formulas and functions. Without those two, Excel is probably just anything just like any other tool that's for data entry. But the formulas and functions is what makes Excel powerful. Now, formulas are just equal signs with cell referencing and your mathematical operators. So if I say equal to B1 plus B2 or equals to 5 plus 7, that's a formula, right? Just like mathematics. If I say 2x plus 5y is equal to something, that's a formula. And that's the same thing with Excel. And then a function is basically a built-in formula that performs a specific task. And there's several functions in Excel that do that. So we're just going to look at a few of them. I'm going to show you a few of them here. I don't know if I'd have time to demonstrate, but we'll just see how far we can go. So we talked about data cleaning, that Excel can help us do data cleaning. Someone mentioned that. So part of the process of doing data cleaning is stream. So let's say you have a research survey that you sent out, and someone entered their first name, and then in entering their first name, they now put multiple spaces before their last name. So what stream function does is it helps you remove those extra spaces. Sometimes even those extra spaces may not be visible. And sometimes the extra spaces after the name itself, and then it becomes excess data, right? So for example, my name is Jacob Ajala, so I'd enter Jacob space Ajala, and then maybe by mistake, and after my last name, I now entered 2 extra spaces. So those are some extra spaces. So trim function would help me remove those extra spaces. So it doesn't only remove the spaces at the end, it removes spaces either at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. That's what trim does, right? And then there's the text function. Now, the text function is very interesting because it does so many things for us. You can use it to extract things. For example, if I have a date and I want to extract the year from that date, I can use the text function to do that. Or if I want to extract a year, I want to extract the month, and I want to do several things, the text function would help me in doing that. And also the clean function would help me in removing non-printable characters. For example, non-printable characters like the tab function or like the enter function. So let's say I enter my name and then I now press enter. So enter would take me to a new line. That's a non-printable character. So the clean function would help me eliminate the enter and make it in a single line, right? So I'm sure you've seen in some Excel tables where you have in a single cell, you would have the first name at the top, last name at the bottom, or maybe one text at the top, in the same cell, one text at the bottom, using the enter function or this tab function. So the clean function would remove those non-printable characters for you. And then you have other functions like your mid function, you have functions like your left, your right function. So they help you in extracting text. So example, let's take the example of the name. So if I have my first name, my last name, my middle name. So the left function would extract from the leftmost character the number of characters I wanted to extract. So it can extract my first name separate, then the right function will extract my last name, and then the mid function would extract my middle name. And I can use either of those and automate it so that I don't have to do it for each entry. So there's a way in which we can do that. Then also for analytics, earlier on I talked about VLOOKUP and index match. So for analysis, the VLOOKUP and the summaries, they're very invaluable in helping us to analyze our data, summarizing our data. So if you have data in several tables and you want to bring them together, you can use the VLOOKUP function or the index match function, or the SUMIF function. So if you have a criteria, say you have data of people from different countries, just like we have people from different locations here. Let's assume that we are paying for this training. And so, and the organizers want to know how much was paid for people from Nigeria. So the condition is that people from Nigeria. So I'd use the SUMIF function to find the total amount that was paid. and my criteria would be Nigeria. So instead of me manually going through hundreds of data and looking for Nigeria in each row, the sum if function in just a single cell would automatically extract that value for me. So it makes your life easier, right? And then the final thing that is Excel helps us with visualization. So with charts and with conditioning formatting, Excel visualization tools, they help make our makes it easy for us to present our findings clearly and effectively to our stakeholders. The charts and the graphs, they help us understand our data visually, especially to our stakeholders. And it makes complex information much more accessible to people who are not technical savvy. And besides this, Excel offers so many different types of charts. You have things like your bar chart, your column chart, your pie charts. They all do different things. You have your line chart as well. They also have different purposes. And it's very simple to create it. And we can customize it to our own needs, different colors. You can make it do everything, sort it from highest to lowest, lowest to highest. Whichever way you want it to do, it can help you. And then conditional formatting. It allows you to format your cells based on specific conditions. So let's say you have series of values, right? And let's say that you have people who registered for a program, and you want to find people who registered before a certain date and people who registered after a certain date. So you can use conditional formatting to help you highlight that. So you can say, okay, for those who registered before January 2021, I want the colors to be blue. For those who registered after this January 2021, I want the color to be red. So you can use conditional formatting. So it would highlight those registrations for you without you having to manually go through that. So that's what conditionally formatting does for you, right? So now, besides these basic Excel functions, we also have some advanced Excel functions, right? And these capabilities can significantly enhance our data analysis. One of it is Power Query for data transformation. So now the beautiful thing about Power Query is a lot of these Excel functions that I talked about earlier on, you don't need to even remember them. Power Query can help you transform and clean your data just by clicking and dropping. Click, 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 and your answer is there. So you don't even need to remember those Excel functions with Power Query. So you go to I usually tell people that Power Query is like your kitchen. So if I'm cooking, before the food comes out, the kitchen is where I'm chopping and dicing and mixing everything together. So people don't usually see that when you go to a restaurant. You don't see the process that goes into it. So the Power Query is like the kitchen where all the cleaning happens. And then when the cleaning is not done, you now transfer it out into the dining, right? So the transformation happens in the kitchen where you combine all of those. And then we also have the pivot tables for summarizing our data. And it helps us summarize large data with ease without any stress. So we talked about the sum if earlier on, right? So the sum if is helping us summarizing our data for specific criteria. So pivot tables, just again, by clicking, you can summarize your data whichever way you want it to summarize it for you. So if you have data from also to tell you for this specific criteria, this is the value, for that criteria, that's the value. So again, without remembering functions, that's what pivot tables do for you. And then you have even much more advanced Excel functions, which are macros. And then you have besides macros as well, you have the Visual Basic, which are automation tools, and they help you solve repetitive tasks, right? Things that you know that you'll be doing several times. So it automates it for you, saving you time, and also it helps in reducing the amount of errors that you would have in your data. Now, this saves so much time, especially for businesses that have repeated processes. So in an organization where you have monthly sales, and you know the process of cleaning your data is the same every month. So you can use VBAs and you can use Power Query to automate that process of cleaning that data and summarizing that data. So you don't have to do it every time. So it helps with those automation, right? So now let's look at some real world applications of this, right? So now, Excel, like I said, is used across several industries, right? So you can, for example, you can use Excel for forecasting, right? You can use Excel for forecasting by analyzing historical data, right? You use it for tracking budgets and performing financial modeling. So you can use it to tell, okay, this is what we did in the past. What's the likelihood that in the next 3-4 months, our sales are going to continue in that trend? What's the likelihood that in the next 3-4 months, we're going to decline? if ABC happens, what's likely to happen? So you can use Excel to predict and forecast your sales, right? And then we talk about budgeting and financial tracking. So I personally use this. So I have an Excel file where I have my budgeting, and then when I'm going above my budget, Excel will tell me, oh boy, slow down. You're spending too much on food, or you're spending too much on movies. You're spending too much on this. So it helps me to cut my quote according to my site. So when I'm spending too much on this particular area, it can help me, redirect me to where I need to be, and also create some financial modeling for you as well. And then also for customer and data analysis for insights, it helps us gain insight into customer behaviors and the trends that's happening. So for example, Meta, for example, you have WhatsApp, you have Facebook, you have all of this. When they're introducing some of these new trends, what they're doing is data analysis. They're looking at all the comments that you're making on Play Store or the Apple iStore. There's a place where you're able to comment and say, okay, I don't like this. Can you introduce all of that? So they're looking at those trends, and they're looking at those behaviors those comments that you're making, and they're analyzing it and say, okay, this is what customers are looking for. Which feature do we introduce first? Which one can wait? Which do we need to remove? How do we improve all of this? So these are all real-world applications of data analysis. And in fact, Excel can help you do that, besides just the other tools of analysis like your Power BI, your SQL. Even though the downside of Excel is the amount of data that it can accommodate. So with Excel, you can only accommodate just over 1 million rows of data in Excel. And the world population, in fact, forget the world population. A city like Lagos alone has millions of people, and Excel can only accommodate 1 million of rows of data. So that's a few of the limitations of Excel. But other than that, Excel is great for analyzing data, okay? Now, the question now is, okay, I know Excel. What next? How do I show my analytical skills and problem-solving skills? It might interest you to know that there are several people who the only thing they know is Excel, and they've gotten job offers. I have several students who, after learning Excel, although they're in the data analysis track where they're learning other tools, after learning Excel, I usually encourage my students, start putting out your CVs. And by the time they put out CVs, some of them have gotten jobs. There was one that recently, I think it was around April, had 3 offers within the space of 1 week, and was now debating, okay, which offer should I take? And the only thing he had learned was Excel, right? And the reason why he's able to do that, because he had applied himself, he knew what the company was all about, he knew all the basic nitty-gritties of analysis based on Excel, and he could answer those questions and use Excel to solve the problems of that company, right? So you don't need to know all the tools related to data analytics. Focus on one first. Right? Get good at understand it, be very good at it, and understand the field and the industry that you're going in. Understand how Excel can be used to solve the problems in that industry. And then you can walk into any interview and confidently walk out knowing that the job is yours, right? So it can help you. So now, tips for showcasing your analytical skills in Excel. 1, be methodical. Follow a structured approach, right? Don't just go jumping from here to there, and you are not actually hitting any targets. You are just hitting everywhere. Follow a methodical method. Number 2, use examples. Demonstrate your thought process, right? I talked about that earlier on. You're talking about how a specific concept can help you, can be used to answer questions. So you're talking about practical examples. You're not just giving theoretical answers. You're talking about, and that comes back to you working on real life data, doing a lot of practice, right? And it shows your thought process as well, that you're walking the interviewer through the process. You're not just giving the interviewer the answers, you're helping them move from what they know to the abstract, right? You're taking them from the raw data to the finished goods, right? So let's say it's like diamonds in the mud. So you're taking the diamonds in the rough, and then you're showing them how you take that diamond, you clean it up, you refine it, and it becomes all shining and glittering and becomes something that's cherished. You take them through that process, and you're showing that you actually know what you are talking about. we're almost getting to the end. So some final tips for those who, a lot of you say you're just transitioning into data. So some of the things that, for those of you who are looking to start a career in data analytics, right? My advice is very simple. Practice regularly. Not just practice with real world data. A lot of people say, okay, where do I get the data from? There are thousands of websites. You have Kaggle, you have data.gov. You have so many websites to get data from. You have Statistica, right, to get data from. You can get a lot of real world data to practice with, right? And it's not just specific to any industry. There are so many industries on those websites where you just, okay, I want to go into health. I want to go into education. I want to go into banking. I want to go into finance. I want to go into this industry. And you find hundreds of thousands of data over there for you to practice with. And then you have Maven as well. Maven Analytics usually puts out a series of data for you to practice with, and they have competitions. So you can use that to challenge yourself and practice with some real world data. And then join data communities. Network. I cannot emphasize it enough. You do not know where your next job offer may come from. It might interest you to know that I have not applied for any job opportunity in the past 3 years. All the offers I've gotten have been through recommendations, people that I know who would say, oh, I have this opportunity, or they tell an organization, I know someone who can do this, and the organization reaches out to me. And that's because of the power of networking, joining communities. There are thousands of communities for you to join. There are thousands of data events that are going on. Attend those events. Create connections. When you go to those events, don't just go and participate and then you leave. Network with people, create relationships. And, and through that, you learn and you share your experiences with them. You never stop learning, finally. All right? You keep learning, keep yourself updated. The data world is ever evolving. It's always changing. So you always stay curious and make sure that you are adaptable. Adaptability is what will keep you in the data field and will keep you going. If you're not adaptable, you might get lost in the world of data, because data is always being amassed every day. Hundreds and millions of zettabytes of data is being accumulated every day. New things are being brought in every day. For those who are using Power BI, Power BI, almost every month, there's a new feature that's been brought in. There's new innovation that's been brought in. So make sure that you're constantly learning, you're reading up, you're staying updated with the new tools that have been brought in into the industries. And that way, before you know it, you're already a data analyst, and you're already becoming a force to reckon with. Great. If you have any questions, you can type in the comments. Angela, I don't know how we're going to handle the questions. Do they speak up or do they just type it in the comment section?
Yeah, people can actually type in the comment section, or they can speak up if they want. Does anyone have any question? Thank you so much, Jacob, for that. Does anyone have any question for Jacob? Okay, Samuel's iPhone, I've got a question. You can go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Samuel. I have a very short question. You talked about, you said getting data, you can get data anywhere. So, but my question now is, if I get data, raw data, what questions do I need to ask myself before I'm able to analyze that data and get what I want out of the data without having somebody ask me the question? I want to be able to set questions for myself when I get a raw data from anywhere. I don't know if you understand my question.
So I understand your question. Your question. So that's where your problem solving skills come. So a lot of mistakes that new people who are coming into data field make is they get data and they're speaking into the data instead of allowing the data to speak to them. So you need to explore the data, look into the data, row by row, column by column, analyze the data, understand what the data is about. That's data dictionary, right? So you understand what the data is about, what's the where the data is coming from, the context, the source of the data, why the data was collected. Once you understand all of that, you now start creating questions. If ABC happens, what would happen? If XYZ happens, how is it going to affect this column? How is it going to affect that other column? What if I change this data? What if I change that data? And then now you are now asking questions based on the data that you have. But before you can actually ask those questions, you also need to clean the data, right? So you need to make sure that the data doesn't have any noise. When I say noise, empty rows, empty columns, you don't want to have inconsistent data, inaccurate data as well, because that can impact your data. Something I always tell my data students, you have the power as a data analyst to kill and to make alive. When I say you have the power as a data analyst to kill and to make alive, if you give incorrect data, let's say that the president of the country has given you data about the country and during COVID, and you incorrectly analyzed the data, you have the power to single-handedly make the country bankrupt because of incorrect analysis. Even though your analysis may be correct, but your data was incorrect, it wasn't clean. The process was correct, but the data wasn't clean, so your analysis, the end result that you got was not correct. And you also have the power to make a line. When your analysis is correct, you come up with predictive methods. You come up with ways in which to prevent the catastrophe from happening, right? So this is now where you have predictive analysis coming in. You're not telling them, if we do X, Y, Z, then we can avert these X, Y, Z problems, right? And it's not something that happens over time. It takes practice. By the time you start practicing with series of data, you start understanding, okay, these are the kind of questions to ask in this industry. In this other industry, these are the kind of questions to ask. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that happens with constant practice. Samuel, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does
Any other
anyone have
question?
any question for Jacob? That's from Samuel. Okay, Sonny, you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just as this roadmap, is it a course for beginners or what?
Yeah, so the roadmap is our data analysis course that we offer at Nexus Edge Consulting. So
Okay.
you have live classes, you do your project, your real project where you work with data, and you use it with all the tools that you've learned, Power BI, SQL, Python, Excel as well, and PowerPoint. Okay, so once you do that, then you get your free CV and LinkedIn optimization. We also give you a UK work experience that you add to your CV, and then you're ready to start applying for jobs. And then the success story is the last part of your journey.
Okay. How much does that cost?
So we have, Jacob, can you share the other slide that's got our contact details? Yeah, so this is the slide. So if you can just take a picture of Sonny and send us a message, and then we'll take you from there. And this is for any other person as well that is interested in the course. So aside from the data analysis course, we also offer Excel and PowerPoint course as well. So if you, obviously the data analysis course is more expensive than the Excel course. So if you just want a refresher or you just want to do like a quick Excel course, then you can also take that. And this is the contact details to also send us a message for. How long is the work experience? So usually your Excel course will take you about 10 weeks to complete. So we could give you a 3 months work experience on your CV, interview preparation, all of the, the STAR method that Jacob talked about, where you need to talk about the situation, the task, okay, the action you took and the results. So all of these things you learn in the bootcamp is building you, okay, to be able to answer those questions in that format. Okay, so that's how long how much are these courses? So like I said, take a picture of this number, Kathy, and send us a message on our WhatsApp number and we'll take it up from there. Okay, there was another slide, Jacob, that shows you the type of roles you can transition into. Don't know if you still got that slide, Jacob.
Let me check that.
I think it was the third one. Okay, if you don't have it, that's fine. But I was just going to say that Learning data analysis could help you transition into a data analyst, a data scientist, okay, a BI reporting analyst, and many other roles. Even if you're interested in project management or business analysis, okay, we also offer that course. But data is also a key part of your role, okay, because I'm also a business analyst, and trust me, I do work with Excel. So it's really important to get acquainted with Excel. I know data, people are so scared of data. They don't want to have anything to do with data. Everyone wants the easy way out. But to be honest with you, there's no easy way out. It's very nice to say, I want to transition to tech, but there's a lot of hard work that comes with transitioning to tech. And a lot of organizations are now in the future. Yeah, thanks, Jacob. So a lot of organizations are now in the future, and everyone wants to make data-driven decisions. So how do you help them to make those decisions? You know, Jacob talked about forecasting and how you can even forecast using Excel. So organizations want to know, in the next 10 years, what do I stand to gain? How can you help me as a data analyst to tell me how much I stand to gain in terms of income? So it's really, really, really important for us to take data analysis, really take it very, very, like, prioritize it. It is so important. And it actually sets you apart from others. Just by having Excel skills, you are really setting yourself apart from other people that haven't got all of these data skills. So, you know, you could become a data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, data architect, any of these ones, BI analyst, analytics manager. Trust me, there are over 200, 300 roles. They might not say data analyst, but when you look at the skills they want from you is the data analysis skills. Do you understand? Do you have any advice on how to get job or where to find them? Of course, we do post jobs on our LinkedIn page every day. And most of the jobs we even post have got visa sponsorship opportunities. So check us out on our LinkedIn page. But of course, part of the bootcamp is advising you on where you can get jobs, okay, and how you can get those roles as well. That's where the interview preparation comes in. So what we do is, if you've got an interview booked, we will do mock interviews for you, do interview preparation for you, because the end game is for you to get a job, okay? Remote working and what opportunities are available. Okay, so what I would say to you is send us a message, okay, and then we'll take it off from there, okay? Because the benefit of this session is to, you know, get you started and have a data mindset and know that, you know, you can actually transition into a data analyst from zero knowledge, all right, and the possibilities you have in Excel, because many people don't even know how powerful Excel is today. So this session is to remind you that you can actually get a job with just Excel. I've really seen a lot of roles that all they need is just Excel. Okay, so does anyone have any question? I think there was someone trying to talk. I can't remember who the person was.
Please, can you show the number again?
Okay, Jacob, sorry about that. You need to help us share again. And maybe if you can leave it on screen. Okay, so this is the number, and regardless of what country you are in, because a lot of people say, oh, you're in the UK, so you have to be in UK. No, you don't have to be in UK. You can be in any part of the world for you to take the course. So just what our advice is, take a screen grab and contact us, regardless if it's Excel and PowerPoint you just want, or if you want the full data analysis course. It also gives you the opportunity to become a business intelligence person as well, because obviously you'll be learning Power BI and how to visualize the data that you've already analyzed. Okay, so I think we are at time, but does anyone have any question before we go? Don't really know if there's anyone. I don't think so.
Sure. Okay, someone's hand is up. I'm not sure if he's asked this question.
I think it was Samuel. I think he's already asked this question.
Okay.
So I think, let me just see, there's something.
Hello, sorry. I was going to ask a question, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What tool would you recommend someone trying to project their Power BI tool? Would you rather, is Excel the most important, or you just have to explore every other options and practice, you know, get to the point where you know that, okay, this is the recommended tool for you to projecting your experience? Or do you understand my question?
I think I do. So you're asking which tool is the most important?
Yes, exactly.
There is no tool that is more important than the other. So they all, for example, Excel is for data cleaning, SQL is for data cleaning, summarizing for large data, right? Excel has its own limitations
Okay.
because of the amount of data it can accommodate. And then for visualization, you have Tableau, you have Power BI. They all have different use cases,
They all
right?
have their different, okay.
Exactly. But there are companies who still use only Excel. Because of the amount of data they have, Excel is able to handle that data for the data cleaning, the data storage, data collection, and data visualization as well. They can do all that in Excel. But a lot of companies, in fact, there are hundreds of companies who would require just Excel, right? And there are companies who would require you to have other visualization tools like Power BI. So depending on the company that you're going into and the industry, the tools may differ. Right? But if you understand Excel, you're laying a solid foundation.
It's more like
for
the
yourself.
Foundation, yes. Okay,
exactly.
Now I get
so
it.
by the time
you
you get
so
to Power BI, a lot of the things you'll be doing in Power BI, you already understand the theoretical aspects of it and how it works. So when you get to Power BI and you are doing those click and drop, you understand what's actually going on in the backend, right?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that question. And that's why I tell everyone, like, Excel is a good place to start because it's so basic. I wouldn't say it's so basic, but yeah, you start basic and then you go into the advanced Excel before you progress into SQL, Power BI, and the likes. So that's why in the bootcamp, we teach you Excel, Power BI, Python. I know a lot of people are scared about Python, but yes, we do break it down. Okay, you also learn, so I've talked about Power BI, SQL, Python, Power BI. We also teach you some programming languages like R, and then we also teach GitHub as well. So it's really detailed. But then, like I tell everyone, you have to be ready. It's like a huge sacrifice on your end to commit to learning data analysis, doing your normal day jobs, having your family and everything, and trying to fit everything into it. But always think about the end goal. If you set a target for yourself, and you hear everyone going into tech, and you also want to go into tech, you want the flexibility that comes with working from home, because 80% of data analysts would actually work from home because you do less of having meetings, facilitating meetings with stakeholders and all of that. You do it, but you are not really at the forefront. Like ourselves as business analysts, we are at the forefront doing all of these things, but you are kind of in the background. So it's a really good role for you to get into. And I guess it's the future as well, because everyone wants to make data-driven decisions. So yeah, I think Jacob was very right by saying there's no tool that is the best. It depends on your organization and what they're asking for on the job description. So that's why we're teaching you everything. But trust me, you're not going to use everything in your role. I always tell people, like, the job description you see is just one slice of the cake. When you actually get into the role, you're going to imagine, like, what am I even doing? I don't have a lot I'm doing, thinking about the job description that I've just been given. So so I think we can end it here if you don't have any question. Or if you do have a question, I know someone asked what's the difference between BA and Power BI, and I've tried to respond to that. BA is a role.
Yeah, the business analytics.
Yeah, business analytics. Yeah. So it's a role, and Power BI is a tool. Okay, so there are two different distinct things. So if iPhone says, are you offering Power BI and Tableau? So Power BI and Tableau both do the same in terms of visualization. They are both data visualization tools. So after you have analyzed your data, how do you present it back to stakeholders? Okay, because I work with data analysts, and many of the time they present the data back to us, and I can use that to make informed decisions on the project I'm working on. So once you know how to use Power BI, you know how to use Tableau. So that's how it goes in data analysis. So yes, we do offer training in the tools. So you can take a picture of our contact, and if you have any question, we can take it after the call, or we can take it later on. And I think we're good to end it here today. Thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar on data analysis. And I hope you've learned one or two things. Okay, the recording will be available as usual on our YouTube page, and we'll share it with you as well. And if you do want to join us on the data analysis bootcamp, it starts next week, Saturday. So I think a very important thing to note here is we do offer payment plan. So just in case you're quite worried, oh my God, how do I pay? We do offer a payment plan where you can pay in 3 installments. So I would end it here, and I say thank you everyone for joining us, and see you next time. Bye.
Great stuff. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.